What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to go over some of the best farming methods to get exotics in Destiny 2. This will focus on some of the new things as part of Season of the Arrivals. We'll delve into some of the more tried and tested ways of getting exotics, but this will be ways that players both new and veteran alike can round out their collection. Now before we jump into this, do me a favor. I want you guys to pause this video, comment down below if you could have any exotic in this game. It could be a raid exotic, it could be a certain stat value for an armor piece. If you could have any exotic in the game, let me know down below. I'm very curious of what you guys are hunting most. Now, the first method we're going to go over is part of this new season, the Season of the Arrivals. There's a new feature called the Prismatic Recaster. We also have something new called the Umbral engram, and this is going to be, in my opinion, the best way for players to farm exotics this season. Now, for this to work, you have to have the Season Pass, so keep that in mind. And you have to have your Gifts of Light and Dark upgraded at least to rank 2, and you must get Umbral Enhancement 2. This is going to be very critical here because without this, this method won't work. Once you get this enhancement, you'll notice here that there's a lot of benefits to it, but what we care about is the piece involving exotic gear. Once you have Umbral Enhancement 2 and you decrypt unfocused Umbral engrams, there's a low chance for that to turn into an exotic. Now, this is a pretty low chance. It's right around 5% or so. I've turned in 25 of these in a row and not gotten any. By the same token, I've turned in 20 and I've gotten 3 pieces. So keep that in mind. It's a bit feast or famine like most things in this game. But once you have Umbral Enhancement 2, as long as you're not focusing those engrams, they're going to have a chance to turn into an exotic. And that may not seem like a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, you will be getting a ton of these new engrams. And these drop from a variety of ways. I just play the game normally. I play Crucible, I play Strikes, whatever. And I've gotten a bunch of these. Now, yes, you can farm these by going into Nightmare Hunts, and you can get these really fast that way. And if you do that, then the exotic farm is even more advantageous. But I just focus on playing the game and having fun. I don't really mind about grinding things out like that. I've still gotten a bunch of Umbral engrams this way. So the key piece here is these will drop like candy no matter how you do it, and you want to make sure you don't focus these. I have a couple of these here, a pyramid focus one, and I have a strength focus engram. These will not turn into an exotic. These will have no chance of turning into exotic. You must not focus them. So there is a bit of balance here. By focusing engrams, you can get some really cool new weapons and some really high stat value armor pieces, but by not focusing them, you have a chance of getting exotics. So balance that as you will. I'm going to go ahead and turn these in. Let's go ahead and turn in the pyramid one first and see what we get. And then we'll go ahead and turn in the strength one. So I got a sword and I got an armor piece here, and we'll take a look at both of these. Again, the reason why I want to do those first is just to emphasize they have no chance of turning into an exotic. So we got a chest piece here and we got a sword. So keep that in mind. You want to balance it as best you can. Now I have 8 of these, and like I mentioned, it's a low chance. So more often than not, when I turn these in, I won't get an exotic. Hopefully I get one here on video. That'd be kind of cool. But don't be discouraged if you turn a bunch of these in a row like I am right now and not getting an exotic. But if you do this every day, I guarantee you will get exotics by doing this. Now in my case here, I kind of struck out. Like I mentioned, it's a low chance, let's say around 5%. But if you do this every day, it's going to be by far the best way of getting exotics. The only thing is you have to do 2 things. Have Umbral Enhancement 2, and you want to make sure you're not focusing them. That's going to be the most critical piece here. Have number 2, don't focus them, and you'll have a pretty good chance of getting exotics when you save up a bunch of them. So that's going to be the first method here. I have 1 left. We'll turn this one in and see if we get lucky here. But in my opinion, this is the best way of getting exotics right now. And I think it's going to be one, if you do this, you'll have a bunch of new armor pieces. You'll have a bunch of new weapons by the end of this season. So, Prismatic Recaster, Umbral Enhancement 2, Unfocused, Exotic Farm. Let's go ahead and jump into another method. This one we're going to talk about next is one that's been around since Destiny 1. It's a vendor that many people know about. But with this season, there is additional benefits with our buddy. I'm talking, of course, about Xur, the Agent of the Nine whose will is not his own. Let's go see where Xur is this week. He's only around on the weekends. We'll go check him out, and we'll talk about why he's such a cool vendor and why he's going to be a great way, if you're new to this game, to visit him every weekend and get some cool exotic weapons and armor. Okay, so if you've played Destiny for any period of time, you probably know who this creepy individual is. This is Xur, and he shows up each and every single weekend. His location is random. Right now he's in the EDZ, but from time to time you'll see him at the tower and other locations. Now the cool part about Xur is he always has one exotic weapon, and he has one exotic armor piece for each of the three characters: Warlock, Hunter, and Titan. Now what's even better about Xur these days is a recent update has allowed his armor pieces to have random stat values. It used to be the case for the longest time that the armor pieces he sold were the collection versions and they had very low stat values. Now, any armor piece he has will have a random stat value assigned to it, and they tend to roll with really high stat values. So this will be great, especially if you're a veteran player who may have a lot of the exotic armor pieces, but you're hunting a certain role. You can visit Xur each weekend, and it'll be a great way for you to find a piece of armor that is better than the one you have currently in your inventory. So make sure you visit Xur every weekend. He's going to be a way that you can get guaranteed exotics. Yes, these do cost you some legendary shards, but honestly, the cost is pretty low in my opinion to buy these, especially given the fact that they now have random values. And once you buy these, they're going to be in your collections. You can always, of course, then buy the exotic engram that he sells. This has a higher cost associated with it. When you buy it first, it's going to cost you 97 legendary shards. Once you buy that, you can buy additional ones for the exotic cipher, but those are extremely rare. So each week, buy the faded engram. It's going to give you something not in your collections. Or if you have every piece, it'll give you, more than likely, an exotic armor piece. Focus on buying the weapons and armor he sells. If you're a newer player, you want to visit this guy every single weekend. And like I said, even though these have a decent cost associated with them, buy them anyway. I myself don't really use the young Ahamkara's spine, but I would buy this just to have the high stat value in case I ever want to do these in the future, or in case these get changed. We know that exotic weapons and armor do get modified and patched every now and again, and some become more or less valuable because of that. So Xur is going to be a great way for new players to get exotics. He's an awesome way now for veteran players to check him out and see if he has a good stat value. But between Umbral engrams and between Xur, if you do these every single week, you will have a nice amount of exotics in your collections. So there's one last thing I want to focus on, and that, of course, is some of the more basic ways of getting exotics. You can go to your destinations, and if you look here at anything that has a milestone associated with it, so in this case here, if I look here at Crucible, I have the weekly rotating playlist. If I complete 4 matches, that will give me powerful gear. There's a small chance that that powerful gear piece will be an exotic. So anything that has a challenge associated with it that will give you either powerful gear or pinnacle gear has a low chance. Now you can't really rely on that, but any exotic you get from it will be kind of a bonus or a benefit. So things like your weekly Vanguard strikes, your weekly Gambit games, things like the weekly Flashpoint, wherever that is, that's going to give you a small chance of getting exotics by doing these different milestones and challenges. The last thing I'll mention, and this is going to be going away next season because some of the content is being vaulted, but if you have the Contender shell from the Leviathan raids, I know that's a very, very rare shell to get, but if you have that Contender's shell, that will be a great way for players to farm exotics. Now, this is from way, way back, I want to say in Season 1. No, I want to say in Season 2. If you have this Contender shell, this will be a great way for you to farm exotics from the original raids in Destiny 2. So I'm talking, of course, about the Leviathan, I'm talking about Eater of Worlds, and I'm talking about Spire of Stars. Now, the reason why I'm not really covering that in too much detail, even though I think it's a great way to get exotics, is the fact that the Leviathan raids are going to be vaulted starting in the fall. So, yes, you can take advantage of that right now. I don't quite know when these will ever be back in the rotation, but that's kind of a last-ditch resort. Once you've exhausted all your other options, you can go ahead and farm these old-school raids. It's only going to give you year 1 stuff, so keep that in mind too. You won't be able to get some of the newer Forsaken exotics this way. You'll be able to get some of the year 1 weapons and armor. But this is kind of like a last-ditch thing, and it's only going to be available this season because these old raids are being vaulted. So I hope this video is helpful. I know we've covered some things here that we talked about in the past, but I wanted to make this as a reminder for players to take full advantage of Xur now because of the changes to him, to take full advantage of the Prismatic Recaster and the Umbral engrams, and I hope you guys get some really cool exotics by doing this. Thank you all so much for watching. Best of luck throughout the rest of the season, and I cannot wait to see what's up next for us here in Destiny 2. See you guys later.